What is harmless, but generally terrifies most people? House centipede. Shortly followed by crane flies. I know house centipedes are good and eat other bugs, but they are just the most unfortunate looking motherfuckers I've seen. And they're fast little shits. Legit. I know this. House centipedes are good. They even eat bed bugs. But last time I saw one I panicked so hard I beat it to death with a can of Raid instead of actually spraying it with pesticide. And this is speaking as someone who used to play with daddy long legs and jumping spiders as a kid with absolute confidence. House spiders in North America. They're creepy and I still hate them, but they aren't bad. I did not expect this to blow up like it did. Just a simple comment about spiders, wow. From North America now living in South Africa. I was terrified of spiders when I lived in the West, but now they don't seem so scary because rain spiders are the size of your hand. So called because they seek shelter indoors when sensing rain. They are hunters, not web spinners. They will not attack humans and their bite is not fatal, but the MF's ain't scary as duck and will assume a defense position if you get too close. I've never seen one outdoors, so I haven't a clue as to where they were before I suddenly see one on my wall. Google them and see. We had a rain spider in our car while driving the kids to school. How we didn't crash is beyond me. Those rain spiders are scary as F. Flying. It's actually one of the safest form of transportation. I mean, planes only crash once, and if you ever have a broken parachute, you have the rest of your life to fix it. Booking appointments over the phone. Edit. Y'all all validated my fears so much, THX homies. I hate the phone. It makes me so nervous I've gotten into the habit of writing everything I need to say and know. Once I was waiting on the line when my husband asked me a question. At that moment, a person answered. I swear I spent like 5 minutes saying I couldn't even tell her my name. My brain had just shut off, lol. I worked in phone heavy customer service jobs for 5 years. Full-time 40-hour weeks on the phone day in and day out. Even to this day, if I have to make any kind of adult call, I will procrastinate and avoid that shit like the plague. It never got easier. I feel like working in a call center made me more averse to the phone. 4 years after I left that kind of work, I'd flinch every time my phone rang. I have to call people all the time for my job now, and I will do 20 minutes of work to try to find a way not to have to make a 3-minute call. Public speaking. Even though I know there's no logical reason to fear it, I still feel like I'm having a heart attack every time I do it. Every time. Public speaking is totally a fake it till you make it thing, you know. Pretend you are an actor and you're playing the role of a confident person who happens to be doing a speech / presentation / conversation. No matter how nervous you are, if you portray your character as confident, nobody will know the difference. If you feign confidence a couple times, you start to see that public speaking really isn't a huge deal or something terrifying, and that confidence slowly becomes genuine. I say that as a person with no public speaking anxiety anymore, who literally cried this morning on a phone call because of other unfound anxieties. This is very true. I've been doing public speaking in various forms for a good 15 years, and though I still get a case of the jitters every time, by the time I start, after walking up on stage / to the podium, I've gotten into my speech zone, and I'm pretty unflappable. Once I was doing a demonstration and the microphone abruptly died. We suddenly had to make do with a handheld mic and passed it back and forth all while continuing said demonstration. My assistant later told me she totally forgot what she was doing and I helped her back on track. Called me unflappable. But before I'm on stage, I'm quietly a wreck of nerves. A child with a balloon in his / her hand. They don't realize the auditory destructive power they hold. One of the reasons why I hate going to children's birthday parties. For a moment I thought this was an IT reference. Same. Seaweed. My grandparents had a cottage as I was growing up, and I spent every Saturday swimming around. I used to snorkel and swim through the different types of seaweed. So I was very surprised when my friend visited and refused to go anywhere near seaweed. I've since learned that a lot of people hate the stuff. If you get tangled in kelp while diving, it can be very dangerous. A well-maintained and monitored nuclear power plant. Asking someone on a date. Excuse me, but this is not harmless. Picture this. You go up to someone you like and ask them to go out with you. They say yes. Fantastic. You now have a date. You arrange to have dinner in a fancy restaurant in the streets of New York City. You take their hand and prepare to go inside when wham, a crane falls down and crushes you both, causing physical harm to both of you just because you had to ask them on a date. Fucking butterflies. My mom used to babysit this girl when she was 3. She's 20 now, and she was terrified of literally any insect in flight. Any insect. If it landed, fear vanished. But if it was flying, pure, irrational, inconsolable terror. Finally I got it out of her that she had a horsefly fly into her mouth once, and it traumatized her. Thankfully she grew up watching Bug Lover Me catching and handling bugs of all sort, and by the time she was 7 she was actively chasing them and cooing over them. Working on their own vehicles. People pay so much money for the most simple automotive repairs. A few simple automotive tools and Youtube will save a mildly brave person a lot of money and build self-confidence. There are times when you'll wish you had paid someone to do it though. Like when you have to tear half a car apart just to access something simple like an oil filter. I swear when some vehicles were designed nobody during the process thought that general maintenance might need to be done, and that some parts might need to be easily accessible. A lot of newer cars you have to take apart the whole front bumper to replace the headlight bulb. Asking someone you like out. Usually the worst thing that happens is a brief, awkward exchange that whoever you asked forgets about 2 hours later. Meanwhile you stand to gain a lover or at least someone to keep your bed warm for a while. I feel like the stakes are higher if your friendship is on the line though. Can you go back to being friends like nothing has happened and one of you has certain feelings for the other that they don't have back? I mean, I've asked if there was mutual interest straight up and it didn't end badly. I just ask something like, so do you think I'm good looking by chance? And if they do, you start flirting a bit and test the waters. If they like you, they will flirt back. If they aren't interested, they won't reciprocate the flirting. Then it goes back to essentially what it was before, as long as you don't keep pushing too hard. If you're not overtly creepy or super sexual with how you approach someone, I don't know why it would keep being awkward for more than an hour or two. Basically just don't send them a dick pic and you'll probably be fine XD. Roller coasters. You're more likely to die on your way to visit a theme park than on a roller coaster or basically any attraction that might be there, but there's a ton of people that are too scared of them. I honestly don't understand that fear. I personally have a fear of heights, but for me, it's less about fear than a severe, painful disorientation I get while on them. Also, I have nearly fallen out of 2 different rides. Longest 2 minuets of my life. Hoping safety standards have gotten better since the 90s. When I was young there was this one ride that basically traumatized me because it just had a lap bar and I was such a painfully skinny kid that only grabbing on for dear life and wedging my legs into the sides kept me from being bumped right out. My friend said I looked white as a sheet after it was over. The thing is, I always thought it must have been my imagination that I was close to falling out. Surely the ride was safe, right? Until about 10 years later when it gained national attention in my country, Germany, because a 9-year-old boy was catapulted 20 meters out of the very same ride and died. The dark. To be fair, the dark isn't always an irrational fear as shit can go down at night. We fear what we don't know, and if we can't see, we become afraid. If you're talking about fearing the dark as a kid trying to go to sleep, then perhaps yes. Pubic speaking. Terrifies me like you can't imagine to speak with my pubes out. But it's pretty harmless. They're just pubes. You got me. Bees. I have no ducking clue why, but every time a bee flies into the classroom everyone is just screaming, like it's the ducking devil himself. The most dangerous thing in everyday life is to pretend that everything is fine with you while your emotions are being torn apart inside. Excessive patience and restraint of emotions can break the nervous system. Like a balloon that has been blown too much air. Why should I be nervous about this? I'll be patient for now. And at this time, the pressure is already approaching a critical level. God damn, that one hit home. Nuclear power. Thorium reactors and breeder reactors are the safest, greenest current future for the world. But because of old failures in almost completely different technology, people hear nuclear and freak out. I would add that the newer generations are far safer and better for the environment. It's a huge investment though. And right now solar is the cheapest form of power in most parts of the world. People don't realize that our grid needs a stable baseload to support intermittent power from renewables. Answering the phone. Dude, just text me. I almost never do nowadays. It's 90% time scam or ads. We need to talk. Apostrophe. Generally terrifies most people. Check. Harmless? No. If it was something innocuous it would be just said straight. Wanna go to the game on Saturday? Apostrophe. We need to talk is never followed by a pleasant experience. Skeletons. You'd be surprised where they are hiding. Those things are literally inside of you like OMG. Ghosts. Ghosts are harmless because they're not real. If someone was to capture real footage of a ghost no one would believe it. I don't believe in ghosts but this is a true fact. There are people with no evidence of ghosts who get believed by people. Pretty sure actual reproducible results would convince the right people. The key is reproducible. Good luck getting a being from another plane of existence to do what you want on command. Bees. They're the cool dudes who make honey. Give them room and they won't bother you either. Wasps are the assholes. I fear no insect. But that wasp, it scares me. The Australian huntsman spider. They can get big. Bullshit big. Generally they are 90% legs though. You see. They are also lightning fast, and they like to come into houses. Their bite can hurt, but they will do a runner before you can get near them most of the time. Bullshit big spiders that are lightning fast have an innate ability to make people shit themselves. This is the most Australian thing I've ever read. Dihydrogen monoxide. Man. Holy shit. Exclamation mark. 1. It has a higher pH than any known acid. It has more hydroxide ions than sulfuric acid. Wearing a mask. Getting a vaccine that has passed phase 3 testing during a pandemic. Accepting that the government isn't out to get you. Edit. I mean you individually. Like a lot of governments don't really care too much about their citizens. Snakes. Come on down to the south of the US. See here under these trailers. It SB 150 cottonmouths, or Atlas petralia. In America snake bites are common enough that hospitals are able to deal with them fairly easily, as long as you know the basic first aid and are relatively close to a hospital. If you get bit by any type of pit VIP then chances are you will be fine. Plus it is pretty easy not to get bit if you know what you're doing. Glad to see you have much more faith in humanity than I do. Fair enough. I guess my point was closer to venomous snakes in America aren't that dangerous. If you aren't stupid then American venomous snakes aren't dangerous. Possums/opossums. Opossums are dope. There is 1 or 2 of them living under my porch and another I see eating from my compost pile occasionally, and seeing them is always the highlight of my day. Using blinkers. How much signal I need to go across 8 lane? None. Okay. Good luck everybody else. Screeches tires. Screaming. Don't know why, but it makes most people wig out when I do it. Something bad must be happening if someone is screaming. Black people moving into your neighborhood. I've had white neighbors, black neighbors, Asian neighbors, and Muslim neighbors. Most of my neighbors were totally fine, but the ones I did have trouble with were all white. If I thought of this using the logic of people scared of having black neighbors, I would probably start to think I need to avoid white neighborhoods and make sure I don't move anywhere that I might have white neighbors. But the fact is, assholes come in every color, and if you think you need to avoid someone because of their race, then you're probably the asshole in your neighborhood. Me. Same. I'm apparently pretty intimidating, but I'm actually fairly shy and cuddly. So I'm just ducked, Dude, you talk straight out of my soul. It's even worse here in Texas though. Up north where I'm from, people were a bit bigger. Here in Texas, the average height is like 5 feet 10 tops. Sharks are actually pretty harmless, unless you decide to intimidate them. They'll never attack you. Humans taste disgusting to them. Anyway, I may be wrong, but I read that they are just curious and want to know what humans taste like. Pets, especially pet dogs. Man, he's not gonna bite you. My dogs get scared by an insect. What's it gonna do to you, big man? Hey PSSST, please subscribe and like.